Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here. It's time to take a look at another Earthrise Transformer. And we've got one here that I've spent a lot of time looking for. This is Fasttrack. Now, of course, before we get into Fasttrack, we've got a quick announcement to bring out to you all. Just recently, Hallmark Ornaments did put out their Dream Book of Christmas ornaments that are coming out this year. And I want you to take a look here on page 32. This year's Transformer is Shockwave. So yes, there we go. We've got Shockwave coming out in July at your local Hallmark store. He will be based on, like the others, based on his Generation 1 design. So if you'd like to get yourself a Shockwave and be guaranteed of it, go down to your local Hallmark store and special order it there at your store for earlier access, because they will fulfill Wishbook orders before they will fulfill orders for the stores. So if you want to guarantee Shockwave on your tree, go ahead and head down there and get that reserved. Now, on to today's Transformer. This here is Fasttrack. And of course, here is his Generation 1 counterpart. In the Generation 1 era, Fasttrack over here was included as a bonus figure with Scorponok. So, naturally, as Scorponok was the Titan for Earthrise, it makes sense that they released Fasttrack as a separate figure. But of course, given how popular the idea of finding Scorponok was probably why Fasttrack here was a pain in the butt to find. Yes, trust me, I looked in at several different stores. I finally found him at my comic store, at my local comic store / lodge. So definitely want to give a good shout out to Pete and all the staff at Bell Book and Comic of Dayton, Ohio. Glad that you actually had these guys in. Or at least that some crazy person sold them to you. At any rate, let's take a look at Fasttrack's articulation. And not surprisingly, as you saw from his Generation 1 version, he does have considerably more articulation. We can turn his head from left to right. Unfortunately, it will not rock up and down. His arm can be rotated at the shoulder all the way around, and it does raise up about so far. His arms, as you can see, can be bent at the elbow, 90 degrees, and he does have a swivel at the bicep, so Fasttrack does have some G.I. Joe battle grip. He also doesn't hold his guns very well. He can be twisted here at the hips. Fasttrack can spread his legs apart to do a full splits. Due to the way he's designed, his thighs also can be turned. So you can turn his leg at the thigh. You can raise his leg up at the hip 90 degrees, and you can bend his leg at the knee 90 degrees. We do also have some toe articulation here, but that's more intended for transforming him than anything else. Now, of course, since Fasttrack here is a weaponizer, just like the other Titan accessory figures that were released in the Siege line, he is basically built to be broken apart into several pieces. So we'll use this moment now to take a look at his loose pieces. Starting, of course, with this dagger piece. This is just basically meant as an extra weapon of sorts. Which, of course, if you choose not to use it, Fasttrack can store it on a post on the back of his arms. So you do have that as an option if you so choose. Fasttrack also comes with 2 of these bright orange guns. They're only hollow in the back and on the underside, so they can peg into his hands, or they can be pegged into his shoulders, just like the Generation 1 version could. Let me set that up here for you. Set him back there. There you go, folks. That way you can see the Generation 1 version could do it too. That's meant to be a nice homage to the G1 toy. Which, of course, you also have 2 arms. Of course, a right arm and a left arm. You will also have 2 legs. Just exactly like that. We'll also have this cockpit piece on here from his back. It is basically meant to fold apart, like so. But in reality, it should just be one big piece. And then, of course, for the rest of the body, you have the upper torso and his waist. His waist doesn't come apart by pulling it down like everybody thought would think. In actuality, you turn him around and you just wiggle it out his back. So see, here's the waist piece. And then, of course, here is the upper torso. So this will give you a look here at all of the loose pieces for Fasttrack. Now we're going to put him back together and show you how to transform him. Okay, we're going to start by transforming Fasttrack into his attack vehicle mode. So when you reassemble him, you will want him to be holding both of his guns. The first step we're going to do is we make sure to remove the dagger. And of course we also remove the cockpit piece off of his back. And then next we're going to separate the upper and lower body. The upper body we don't need for the moment, so we're going to just set it aside. Anyway, just take the lower body. You're going to come down here to his feet. You're going to fold the feet down. Nope, actually you're not going to fold the feet down. Talking about folding up some posts on here, but there's no posts up here to shift on him. Does it mean that more of his upper body should have come off? So we should point this out. There is more to the upper body that should have come off. And it's this portion in here. So you have this extra piece. This should have stayed with him. Then in this case you will fold up these pieces right here, rotating up the hip pieces like that. Then we will fold the legs over like so. And then the feet should fold down onto these flaps here, because there's some posts right here, and they will line up with a hole near about where the small toes would be. Just get them to line up and connect in. They don't seem to connect in very, very well. Just going to make sure you got the legs all the way down. And then there we go. That forms the lower section of the vehicle. We'll push that aside for a second, because we're going to need the upper portion of the body here. Basically, you're going to rotate the hands so now the guns will face you, like so. Then we will raise the arms up, like that. Then you will rotate the head, so now he's looking at you. Then we will take the cockpit piece. There are a couple of posts here on the back, and those will fit in to those two holes right there. Put them in just like that. And then to connect them all up, you're not going to use these big posts here. There's actually two small horizontal posts that are up here, and those will line up with those horizontal holes on the cockpit. It'll take a little bit of finagling, but it should snap into place. And there you have it. There's Fasttrack's attack vehicle mode, which is basically a six-wheeled, dual-barreled armored car. And of course, this is how it looked in the Generation 1 form, so it is very close to reminiscing the original mode, and that's a nice touch. And of course, it is on 6 wheels. How does it roll? Rolls pretty good. Now, of course, you do have a couple of extra modes of play with this. One is that, like many of the other features, he could be connected to one of the city ramps. To do that, all you'd have to do is remove the upper section, and you find this black piece here in the back. All we would have to do is get that to fold out. Might be easier if we remove some things here. Or we just keep on trying. Give me a second here. I think I need a screwdriver. Okay, now that we got that black piece loosened, you just rotate it out the back. And then you reconnect the toy together. Once again, he dropped one of the guns. And then, of course, you can connect this piece up to one of the transformer ramps. And then that way, instead of being a mobile unit, he becomes a stationary gun emplacement. Which, of course, if you set up your city so that it has that feature, that's not a bad idea. Well, you know, when they say that you build this thing, they want you to include the knife on here, on the shoulder, but there's another use for the knife instead. Instead, you would take the knife off, and instead plug it into this hole here on the back of his head. And then now, he has a driver's seat for a Titan Master figure. Or in this case, you can use Lord Zarek. Since he came with Scorponok, we'll just use him. So he's got a little groove here set up on his feet. That should line up pretty well with the squared hole on the dagger. And that gives Lord Zarek a driver's seat. It looks kind of dumb, almost looks like he's driving a Zamboni more than an attack car, but I will give it some credit here, folks. That is a very snug connection here, so, I mean, as you can see, he's not going anywhere, so that's actually not very bad. I mean, if you can get over how silly it looks, that's actually not bad. Okay, we've taken Fasttrack apart into all of his component pieces. We've made sure that this has the flap pieces attached to it. So, let's show off how to build him in the weaponizer mode. Fasttrack here has two of them. We're going to show the basic one. For all your transformers, you would start by taking the body pieces and reconnecting them together like so. And you kind of make sure that the head is facing towards the front of the robot like normal. Then you would come back here and you get the legs. Then you would fold down the feet like so. And then you're going to attach them in with the wheels pointing upwards. Like this, and the feet will come up along the side. Like this. Then you will take the arms, reattach the guns, and they say that they should attach down here by the shoulders onto the black portions of the thighs. And they do. Doesn't look like it, but they do. Oh, yes, they do. Well, just how they're supposed to look in a moment. Then basically you're going to come around here. You fold out this post here on the robot's chest. And then he can be connected to the back of a transformer. And normally he should be connected to one of his own kind, but I didn't get one of his own kind out for filming. Shame on me, but we got Blue Streak here, and he's got a hole on his backside, so he will suffice. Maybe. All you gotta do is keep the post from shifting. Wiggle that into his back. And then, once he's in, you just make the proper adjustments to get the unit down. Like so. Then, of course, you would take the cockpit piece. We open it up. And then we can attach it onto a hole in his arm to be some sort of shield. And then, of course, stick the knife in his hand. And then there we have it. We got the extra gun mode. Just kind of an oversized backpack, really. It looks kind of dumb, but as we've seen, for those of us who have watched the Netflix cartoon, having the extra weapons does serve some purpose, regardless of how silly it looks. Okay, we've broken him back down again for one final transformation. Now for this one, we will need to take both of the legs. Then they want us to take the hip piece and attach them. Attach it in here. Like this. And then we're going to fold down the feet. We take the cockpit piece. Open it up as the shield again. And then the two holes at the bottom of it plug into the bottom of the feet. Just exactly like that. You take the dagger and you plug it in up here at the top like so. And then you'll come down here. You'll take one of the arms. Doesn't really matter which one. You plug it in. Then we come down here and take the other arm. And you plug it in. And then this becomes something akin to the Titan Spear that was used by Black Zarak, a powered-up form of Scorponok seen in the Japanese series Super God Master Force. For those of you who may be keeping in track of Hasbro Pulse, they are selling a repaint of Scorponok as Black Zarak. And there is also a repaint of Fasttrack to be Black Rorichi, the partner of Black Zarak. And you can buy them online. Now, of course, since this is meant to be a figure a weapon used by a Titan figure, let's see how that looks. Okay, we've moved out here to the kitchen counters, because that's a good area to have Scorponok standing on. And you can see right here, he's got the spear in his hand. The one downside to it is there is no connection points inside Scorponok's claws for a weapon, unlike the Generation 1 version, which did have posts to attach the gun to. So the spear just hangs loosely in him, so if you do wish to display your Scorponok with Fasttrack in the spear mode like this, you will have to make sure that the arm is in a position horizontal so that he will not drop it very easily. I mean, while it does look a bit impressive, since there is nothing to restrain things, the lower arm does tend to be a little wobbly down here. But otherwise, that really doesn't look too bad on him. Of course, even better with sunlight coming in behind him like that. Definitely comes off as an imposing force of nature. Let's head back to the studio for the final thoughts. Now we get down to my thoughts. What do I think of Fasttrack? I think Fasttrack is a decent addition to the Earthrise line. He does sort of complete getting us all of the exclusive figures that came with the Titan figures of the Generation 1 era. We still don't have all of them, since Metroplex did come with a lot of them. And you'd have to buy the Titans Return Triptychon to get to get the car from Triptychon. I have heard rumors that we will be getting Slammer the tank from Metroplex here in the Kingdom line. Don't get too excited for it. It's basically a repaint of Warpath. But it is nice to have these obscure characters brought back into the mainstream, since as they were mainly just extra guys that came with larger toys from the G1 era, they've largely been forgotten about. So bringing them back as a separate independent figure does allow for the media to explore them a little bit more. As for a lot of cases, many of them were nothing more than just a simple drone that worked alongside the larger Transformer. When in reality, in this new wave, they could actually have more about them. There could be more to explore about these characters, and hopefully the media will do that. The robot mode for Fasttrack is superb, especially when you compare it to the original. So it does have bonus points for that. The attack vehicle mode, it's pretty good as well. It looks good, it does pay homage to the original, and having the extra play features on it is kinda nice. Whether you choose to connect it to your city, or make it a command vehicle for Zarek to drive in. Those things aren't bad. The spear mode, that's a little bit hard for me to swallow, but it does give you a new way to display Scorponok. And let's face it, none of the other guys had a feature where they became an alternate weapon for a Titan. So he does have that going for him. The extra weapon mode, like many of us, I'm kind of on the fence about those. It sounds okay on paper, but the execution on the toy just makes the toy a little bit back-heavy, so maybe that mode we could have done without, but again, that's up to personal preference. At any rate, that concludes my review of the Earthrise version of Fasttrack. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you liked the video, leave me a thumbs up here on YouTube. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button and join our ranks. Make sure you ring the bell nearby so you'll be notified when we post new content. We also ask that you share this video with your friends and fellow collectors. That's what helps this channel grow. And also share your thoughts about Fasttrack in the comments down below. This is Sparkster1701 saying I will catch you all later.